Our final keynote presentation will begin shortly, but before that,
Welcome back. Thank you for being back here again, and thank you for having me here. The second time in 2 years in a row for VietTESOL. It feels different. It feels special to be invited by my old university to talk for an international conference at my old home university. So once again, thank you, Professor Nguyen and Dr. Bao Kham for your invitation. And I am fully aware that I'm now actually standing between you and your lunch. So I promise that this section will not run over time. It will be well timed. So when I got the invitation, I was wondering what I should talk about. At that point, I saw the title of Professor Donald Freeman's talk. It's kind of made me think, okay, maybe in his talk he's going to talk about teachers should follow and should do what other people do. And I thought, okay, with the evidence from the research of our team here at this university, why don't I say something which directly challenge the point that he's going to say? And it's interesting because that research is actually about the change that the teachers make after they came back from a workshop using his own program that is ELTeach. So we will see how the findings that we come up with can partly challenge what Donald Freeman said yesterday. Wait and see. So in this talk, we'll talk about change and how change is viewed from the perspective of change management theories. I also bring into this talk the evidence from our research on the change that teachers have made in their classroom since they came back from different training workshops. And we also look at the reasons why teachers decided to make those changes and what actually prevented them from making those changes. Within this research, we actually did not really validate the changes that the teachers said they made in their classroom. We look at their reflection and their report from discourse perspective. So I think we all know that we are now living in a dynamic world. Everything is changing so fast, so quickly. So it's impossible for any of us to stand still. And you see that slogan almost everywhere, change or die. And it applies to all organizations from different levels, from schools to different businesses. So we have to change. And we see that urge of change in almost different aspects of life, as you can see in that saying by Steve Jobs, change the world. You cannot just stand still. Okay? But what is change? What is it? Because every day we talk about change, you have to change. Tomorrow, you cannot be where you are now if you want to move forward. But what is it? So linguistically, as language educator, I look at the dictionary to understand what change is. So by definition, as a verb, change means to make or to become different. As a noun, it is the act or the instance of making or becoming different. The implications that lie behind this definition are various. So change means difference. Change means good. It means difference is good. Change means improvement. So if we change, one of the implications is that we give up the old way and we create something new. When we change, It must be something completely new, completely different from what we've been doing. So this is the impression that we have. This is the viewpoint that many of us have held. And this perception, this understanding is actually well represented in a lot of models of change management. I'll show you one of the examples of Nguyen's quite old-fashioned model of change management. So this is how change is represented in his model. And it shows to us that the final product, the change that is well established at the end, looks completely different from how it looked at the beginning, in terms of shape, in terms of size, and hopefully in terms of nature, that is in terms of quality. So how change is represented in different models and different theories indicate somewhat our belief that if we make change, it must be rational, it must be completely new, it must be very, very different from what we've been doing. And when we look at words, we look at theories, not just image. Again, this perception is shown in various theories of change management. What a lot of change management theories have in common is the emphasis that change is a process. It doesn't take place overnight. It requires a lot of preparation. It requires a lot of building, capacity building. So it all starts with people who are involved in that change process. And those people must be aware, must be helped to become aware of the change. They must develop knowledge, understanding, skills required for that change to happen. And so when we look at change in ELT, we see that change in ELT is actually change as response to change. Why do I say that? When we look at the evolution of TESOL methodology, we can see that new methods are created and new methods require changes in the way we teach our students to respond to our new understanding of why learners learn the language and how they learn language. So change in our thinking leads to our new understanding, lead to the creation or the birth of new methods. So that evolution of TESOL methodology is an example which shows that we have to change to respond to the change or to respond to our new understanding of why people learn the language and how they learn that language. That is language acquisition. And every day we see changes in different levels, in different dimensions, especially here in countries like Vietnam with the national project, national foreign language projects. So there are two main types of changes here. The changes that we want to see at the end of the journey. That is, we want to see students to have better learning outcomes. We want to see better learning achievements at the end of the journey. And we want the teachers to have better standards to improve their level of proficiency. We want teachers to have more effective teaching methods and teaching techniques in their classroom. So from those expected changes, we expect that teachers make change in their classroom so that at the end, or at the end of that journey, we can have the changes that we expect to have to happen. Okay. So that will lead to the fact that we hope teachers will change the way they teach, teachers will change the way they evaluate, the teaching materials and use teaching materials, teacher will change the way they assess their students. So that would be change as response to change. How do we prepare teachers so that they can make the change that we want? So that at the end, we can have the change that we expected to see. At least there are 3 main ways that I've seen so far that we do to prepare teachers to make the change that we want to see at the end of the journey. Number 1, that is training. Number 2, that's also training. And number 3 is also training. So sending them to training workshops, professional development workshops, professional development activities seem to be, until now, the only thing that we've been doing to support them. And we hope that they can make the change that we want. The question is, does it really help? If it does, to what extent it helps? We have some initial findings from our research. So in this research, we were keen on exploring what really encourages teachers to apply what they've learned from the training workshops since they came back, and what may prevent them from applying the knowledge and the skill that were provided to them during training workshops into their classroom. So the participants of the study involved 51 teachers, including primary school teachers, lower and higher secondary school teachers. And all of these teachers actually went through different types of professional development activities, including methodology training workshop, English for teaching, general English proficiency to get to B1, to get to B2, and to get to C1. We asked them questions through reflective report. What do you like? What you dislike most from the training workshops that you went to? Why? So what changed that you made in your classroom since you came back from those training workshops? Why? What changed, or what do you want to apply it into your classroom, but you cannot do it? And why can't you? Look at their language. I tried not to be too linguistic here, but if you look at the words that they say, when we run concordance, the words that come up most frequently, I know that I have to learn, I have to know, I have to understand, I have to change. So it shows that they understand the significance of knowing more knowledge, having more skills as a response to change. So you see that in this typical quote by a teacher. Now, as the new curriculum has a new standard, that is a primary school teacher, A1 level, we definitely have to learn new teaching methods to have our students achieve that A1 level. We also have new textbook, so we have to change the way we teach. We have to know more to be able to teach more effectively. So in terms of discourse, the language that they use shows that they understand the need to change as a response to change. They have to change. They also show, the data show that the teachers who attended various workshops admit and acknowledge that they gain new and useful knowledge. And again, if we look at the words which come up most frequently in their report, in what they say, it also shows that they appreciate new knowledge. So within that time management, change management model, change management skills, and with our belief that the more people know, the better they do. Okay, so we hope that if they like the new knowledge, they like the new skills, hopefully they come back and do better in the classroom. But when we look at the data about the changes that they make right in their classroom and why they decided to make those changes from discourse level, it's not quite so. All of these adjectives appear most frequently in the data, and they are represented here in the order of frequency. I use it because it is easy. I use it because it's convenient. I use it because it's practical. I use it because it's necessary. Easy comes first. And that's understandable in a very busy life of a teacher, especially in Vietnam. So after easy, it's convenience. After convenience, it's practicality. And then finally, it's necessity. Why you don't apply what you learn from professional development activities into your teaching? Difficult. As opposite to easy, not convenient, different. That's interesting. Because at the beginning, as I said, and as we already know, we have the viewpoint, we have the mindset that change must be different. So this is when we look at this, we ask ourselves, is it because we have that mindset of change being different? So what we put in the curriculum, the content of professional development activities are too different from the teaching context, from the expectation, from the experience of the teachers we've been working with. And this is actually one of the reasons why they don't use it. Risky. So change is more than a process. Change is also a process of psychology. So if we look at that, if they look at their language, it's also a reflection of fear for change, a sense of uncertainty. I'm not so sure if it works, and I'm busy, so why wasting my time applying it when I'm not so sure about its impact, right? So I go to a training workshop, the trainers did so well, but my context is different. And we've learned 4 simple things from the findings of our research that I think we all know. Teachers do not always apply what they know from professional development. They cannot always apply what they know from professional development. They do not always apply what they appreciate. And they cannot always apply what they know they should do. So it's time to think again about this statement. When people know better, do they do better? Not quite so. When we provide them more information, more knowledge, more skills, it does not automatically make them do better. It's not because they don't want to. It's because it's so different. So difficult. But the participants in our study have shown that when they know better, they know why they can't do better. It shows in their explanation why they cannot apply A, B, C, D, even though they know that they are good. You may tell me that, wait, all of those training workshops have a curriculum which is actually based on serious needs analysis. You cannot say it's not practical, because needs analysis is the very first step that we have to do when we develop the training curriculum. And you cannot say that it's too different. You cannot say it's too difficult. But perhaps it's time to ask ourselves, with that curriculum and with that needs analysis, do we really think about where the teachers are, or we only think about where we want them to be and what we already have? So I really like it on the pre-conference section when Professor Donald Freeman said, to many people, professional development is like offering a meal. Eat it. Here is the meal. Or in some other cases, it can be a buffet where teachers are allowed to make choice. But remember, even when it's a buffet, those choices are actually decided by the people who organize the buffet. Okay? So the choices are available, but they are shaped by the change that we want to see at the end. So it's significant to understand this. So what are those needs? And more importantly, whose needs? Is it our needs as teacher trainers or teachers' needs? Is that our needs as policymakers or the teachers who do the teaching right in their class every day? And when I went to a conference last year in Liverpool, I was really impressed when one of the plenary speakers said, we should be careful, otherwise a lot of need analysis can be like cosmetic consultation. I fell in love with that comparison. If we are not careful, then all of the need analysis that we claim we make can be just symbolic. So to end this presentation, I would like to come up from the findings of our research and from how we understand change management theories and how change has taken place in the current situation in English language teaching context in Vietnam. Perhaps it's time to prioritize changing teacher practice through self-reflection. This is why I completely agree with Professor Nguyen in his opening speech when he said action research helps teachers understand why they are doing what they are doing in the classroom, where they are now. That should be prioritized. That should be focused first and foremost. Then, measuring their quality and performance. It's more important than telling them that you fail. Then you are not qualified enough. Because even if they are not qualified, they still do the job. We don't. So they deal with all of that pressure every day. We don't. So have them understand why they are doing what they are doing in the classroom, and then identify what they need for their daily job. To me, that would be more critical than telling them that you are way below the standards. You are way below what we expect. And maybe it's time to give them the tools, to encourage them to collect information, to generate knowledge about their own teaching practice in their own context, so that they themselves can identify areas where they need help most, not us. We don't tell them. We should not tell them. Maybe later, not now. That you cannot say, and you should not say, this is what you need most. Or you cannot say, you should not say, there are 4 things that I think you need most. Which one would you prefer now? To me, it does not make sense, even when it looks like we offer variety. Perhaps it's time to make it like a bring your own plate party. Why they like it, why they need it, help them understand it. And for all of the curriculum and also the way we deliver the training, the teachers should be involved so that they feel that they are part of the process. And perhaps it's time to think about change, to empower teachers right in their classroom. Maybe we should not have too big dreams. We should not ask them to completely change the way they've been teaching. Do not ask them to burn the bridge, especially when we work with in-service teachers. They have expectations, they have experiences, they have philosophy, which have been with them maybe longer than the time you've been training teachers. And definitely they are the expert in their own field, in their classroom. So I guess it's not fair and it's not appropriate to say, okay, this is the change that I want you to make, and this is a tool that you can use, and this tool is magic. It does not happen that way. Start where they are, not where we want them to be. Definitely it's good to have a clear idea, good vision about the expected change that we see at the end of the journey. We want our students to get B1. We want our students to get C1. It's good to understand, in order for that to happen, what teachers need to know, what teachers need to be able to do. But it's not fair and it's not appropriate to use that vision to decide right away the content and the way we deliver professional development activities to the teachers. Start where they are right now in their classroom. Look at their problems. Instead of saying, this is how to teach, how to improve, how to enhance intercultural communication competence for your student, start by saying or asking simpler questions like, do you see any cultural element in the textbook that you use? Have you ever thought of integrated culture into your lesson? Yes. Where is it? No. Do you think that you can? You want to? And this is some of the ways that you can use to do it with your own material in your textbook, the textbook, and right in your classroom. So perhaps it's good to be led by a good vision, but if we start with the teachers in their own context. This is what we often do in our classroom when we teach language learners. We create a safe environment for them to fail, so that tomorrow, without us, without the dictionary, the language learners can still communicate well. Should we do the same to the teachers? that we've been working with, so that they have no more fear, or so that the fear is reduced, so that that sense of uncertainty is minimized, so that they know that there is no penalty ever if their methods do not work. So what we do to our students should also be done to the teachers that we work with. This is what I strongly believe. And before I go to the last suggestion, I would like you to answer some questions. Raise your hands if you have been involved in making decisions regarding formative assessment in your classroom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, many. Okay, so if it's about your own classroom, yes. Did you have a say about A1, A2, B1 as learning outcome for your students? Did you have a say about C1, B2 as standards apply to you? Raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You are lucky. Do you have a say when it involves decision about curriculum development? Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's many. Did you make decision? Did you have the right to make decision regarding text or course book selection? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's also many. Class size. At my university, I know my rector, my boss will not be happy, but very often, class size is decided by many factors, not just what the teachers think. Okay. So this is why our last suggestion for empowering teachers right in the classroom is this. Teachers need to be heard. They need to be listened. If we really want to have the changes that we expect to see at the end, then we need to listen to them so that it will empower them to make small changes in their classroom every day. Thank you. We have time for questions, comments.
Why don't we just leave it for the panel discussion? Is this okay?
Okay.
Because I think it will be better for us, to revisit all of the keynote speakers again, and we will have opportunity to ask questions to any keynote speakers. Would you prefer to shoot questions asked?
Can I have a certificate? Because I directly asked.
Obviously, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Thầy Hoa.
I would. Yeah. So please, Professor Hoa, can you deliver the certificate and flowers to our keynote speaker, even
because I booked him.
Thank you, Professor Hoa and Professor Nhung. Would you please remain there at the stage? We will arrange the chairs for the panel discussion shortly. So we will move smoothly to the panel discussion. And by saying smoothly means you have 5 minutes break. Get it. So could you please help arranging the chairs on the stage?